Hello, this is Mike Lively, and this is Chapter 2 of Professional Papervision. And today we're going to actually start building Papervision classes. But before we do that, I have a little announcement for you, a long-awaited announcement that many people have been wanting to know about. And kind of reminds me of this scene from The Wizard of Oz where the fairy godmother is kind of waving her wand over Dorothy, and Dorothy is saying, "There's no place like home, there's no place like home." While she clicks her little heels together, drum roll, here comes the announcement from the Papervision forum. Guess what? There may be no place like home, but there's no PapervisionX. So just get out your crying towels, and then let's move on to Flash Builder. Hooray! I mean, finally that announcement had come. Long expected, and I actually mentioned it in Chapter 16 of my book. Let's go to that real quick. You know, one of the things that Ralph Howard was very interested in, and by the way, he was the driving force behind PaperVision 2.0, though Carlos seemed to get a lot of the credit for that. It was Ralph that actually wrote all those classes, and Tim Knipp, which actually did a lot of the back-end parsing stuff. And Ralph had shown that you could do 300,000 points using Alchemy, and he had envisioned a version of PaperVision, which he called PapervisionX, which used Alchemy and Pixel Bender. And one of the problems with that, and I just went ahead and said that in the book, that Alchemy and Pixel Bender don't run on the same architecture platform as many of the new Flash 10 native rendering classes do. Got a real problem there, folks. So you can't use these features in combination with Alchemy, and that's a bummer. So the appropriate architecture to produce results like this, to obtain things on this scale in PaperVision, really requires months and months and months of work. And so I pretty much envisioned this as a long time coming, and now you see it's not coming. And it really is, as a developer, it's kind of a wait and see. You go, should I develop this? And so many times on the forums and in the web, you see a guy has spent months and months developing something and someone else has done it, or there's been a technology change where it's so easy to do now you don't even need that approach. So for a lot of developers, and me too, I just kind of waiting around to see what would happen with this, and it didn't happen. And so what are we going to do? Hey, the field's wide open. Let's go for it. Let's do it ourselves. So we're going to start this discussion off with how do you run PaperVision. And there were actually once 4 different ways, and now there's 5. So let's show you that real quick. We could use an XML script using Flex or ActionScript package, or we could use a Flash package or the timeline. And basically, guys, as an evolution in technology, it's really fun to write a book when technology is changing so rapidly. It's pretty much a moving target. And by the time you get that book out, the technology is obsolete. Now, what we've done here in this book, of course, is we've got the powerful website, and we've actually written this book kind of open-ended so we could address these topics on the website as technology moves forward. So the book is still current, and we're going to be plugging into its content as we move on. So we're not going to use Flash in our discussion. We're not going to use Flex in our discussion. We're going to use Flash Builder. And there's a few reasons why, but one of the key elements we need to talk about is how do you get 3D content into Flash Builder. Now in Flash, you just add it to the canvas, right? Or stage. And in Flex, you had to do this raw add child to the viewport business. But in Flash Builder, you need to add it to a container. And so we're going to start right off with Flash Builder. Now let me just say a few things. Now concerning building classes, we've already handled all that in the previous Flash tutorials. Please go through those if you're not familiar with classes. They're on my book site, and they're also on the YouTube. Let's go down a little bit. Also, I'm assuming that you purchased the book and that you're reading through this material. We want to hit what's important here. Now, here's one of those all-important concepts in object-oriented programming. That's extending your class. And so why reinvent the wheel? Extending your class allows you to use what is already available from another class. And that's the real power of using classes. A class can inherit properties and methods from another class. So if you've already written all of that, why not just extend your present class to take advantage of the previous one? Now, in the book, I go through an entire example of a Chinese hello and how to extend. So go ahead and read that and go through that. We'll be doing enough examples of extending classes that we won't have to go through this initially. We'll just start hitting this right off, and I'll point it out as we go. We want to get to the meat of the matter here. So all of this is about creating classes, about object-oriented programs, some of that we've already covered. Here's another important concept. This is defining scope. And here's a number of names that you may not be familiar with. Internal, private, protected, public, static, a user-defined namespace. We'll primarily be interested in 3 of these. And here they are right here. Private, protected, and public. Private is visible to references in the same class. Protected is visible to references in the same class and derived classes. And public is visible to references everywhere. What in the heck does that mean? Scope really is the security of your classes and methods and variables. So if you want people to have access to them, you're going to make them public. But if you want to keep them hidden, you want to make them private. And many times when we build classes, we want our variables and properties private, but many of our methods can be public. So we'll be going through that as we begin to code and explain those to you. But 3 important names you just want to keep in your psyche here. And as we go through those, key in on those important concepts. So as we move down through the chapter, we come to our Hello World Papervision. Let me show you that real quick. Here it is, and it's an undulating sphere. So it's going from kind of a sphere to an ellipsoid to kind of flattened saucer look. And very easy to build in Papervision. You're going to show you how to do this in Flash, and then we're going to move this to Flash Builder. So we'll start with that next time. See you then.